plan for your activities in the coming days, here is the new local forecast for your region. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage of today's weather headlines. Coming up in your next local, the outlook for the rest of the day and a look ahead at tomorrow's forecast. To upload your photos and videos, visit upload.theweathernetwork.com. Stay tuned to Force of Nature, a look at the wildest weather from around the world.
This local forecast has been brought to you by eHarmony.com. Review your compatible matches for free.
Today was Groundhog Day, of course, and some mixed prognostications from the groundhogs. But you know what? They're only 37% accurate. Do you know who's more accurate than 37%? My special guest, Dr. Doug. And you know what you're talking about here, Doug. You're a lot more reliable than a groundhog. So we are looking at another winter storm, major storm for eastern Canada in honor of Super Bowl Sunday. This is actually going to run a post pattern. So a slant to the north and to the east. This is a Texas low, Doug.
That's right, and it is a big storm. The highest impacts will be south of the border, but the effects will be felt from the Central Plains all the way to the east coast. It will really impact Canada from southern Ontario to southern Newfoundland. Again, the impacts will be the greatest south of the border, but looks like a moderate snowfall from southern Ontario into Atlantic Canada.
So it's a Wednesday southern Ontario, Quebec story, a Thursday story for Atlantic Canada. Now take us through these snowfall amounts, because right now it doesn't look too impressive for southern Ontario, but there's a chance these dark colors, big numbers, could be sliding north.
That's right, and we're not going to have to worry about the type of precipitation. This will be a snow event. We're just looking at how much snow, generally 5 to 15 across southern Ontario. As you get into Niagara, north shore of Lake Ontario, Ontario and Erie, we may be looking at amounts pushing 15 centimeters. And again, a subtle shift to the north in this track would mean a much bigger storm for Canada.
Parts of the southern Maritimes, upwards of 25 centimeters of snow. But as we take a look at southern Newfoundland, similar story to southern Ontario. Okay, so let's get that storm out of the way. On Thursday, it's off to the east. Then what are we dealing with?
Well, we're dealing with a coast-to-coast cold pattern, but a quiet pattern for a couple of days. Note the lack of precipitation, the lack of storms, but we do have a lot of cold air across the country. Note, no city is forecasting temperatures above zero. All of these temperatures are well below seasonal.
Now, we have a couple interesting maps to show you right now. If we can just switch that, here we go. So here's a look at that cold air. If we just go full screen on these, it's going to be very cold through Western Canada, and a bit of a shift because we saw some mild temperatures there previously, and they were a little bit milder through Eastern Canada.
Yes, where we see those purples and blues represent temperatures colder than 10 degrees Celsius below seasonal, and those blues and greens in Eastern Canada are also below seasonal, so a really wintry pattern across the country. And with that, as we go into next weekend, there's signs that we'll have a nether Texas low, much like that what we're going to see during the midweek period, once again impacting potentially southern Ontario, and then early next week into Atlantic Canada.
So Doug, if you were a groundhog, I think you'd probably be predicting 6 more weeks of winter with these storms that we are talking about. Now, can you explain what's going on this map? Because this almost looks like a bit of abstract art, but break this down for us.
Well, we have a fairly dry pattern in Western Canada. Precipitation during the upcoming week, very dry. Not good news for the ski resorts, but as we go to the second week of February, a much more active pattern where we see these blues and purples. We're going to see precipitation over double what we typically see. Great news for ski resorts.
So Doug, being the bearer of bad news for more winter, more on your weather story coming up.
Go to theweathernetwork.com for an in-depth analysis on the science behind the forecast. Find exclusive articles straight from the meteorologists.